Hello and welcome to the lecture about supporting students that have ADHD. These are just going to be simple strategies to help support them with their learning difference. So let's get started. Teaching adult students with ADHD effectively requires a very nuanced approach that acknowledges their unique cognitive processes while creating an inclusive learning environment. ADHD is characterized by inattention, hyperactivity, impulsive behavior that can present challenges for adult learners, especially in structured educational settings. When we look at the classroom, traditionally with the model, it's going to have a teacher in front and they're going to be lecturing primarily, and that type of model is very structured, which some structure can be very helpful to students with ADHD, but it's not structured in a way that's interactive. And so that's where we're going to be talking about some of the methods within this video. So to promote success, educators must combine evidence-based strategy with flexibility. We need to accommodate diverse learning needs, and techniques that provide clear, structured instructions and promote engagement in the classroom and with the material can really help reduce the cognitive overload that they really experience with ADHD. And that cognitive overload can create students that have frustrations and other issues to overcome during their education. First, it is essential to recognize the importance of clear and concise communication when teaching students with ADHD. These students often struggle with executive function, which impairs their ability to organize, plan, and complete tasks. Instructors, we should offer straightforward directions. Break down complex tasks into manageable steps, and use visual aids to supplement our verbal information. All these things really will help them not be overwhelmed and help them make sure that we're minimizing confusion. This approach does minimize confusion, but it also provides structure that allows the learners to better focus on the task at hand. If they have a giant task to do, they prefer to have those things broken down into very manageable step-by-step processes. So whenever you can, think about the task that you assign, helping them to break it down, not only in the classroom, not only with the procedures that you're practicing, but also with how they study, how to break down things so that way the studying does not seem overwhelming to them. The next thing we're going to look at is providing a structured environment. And a structured environment is another critical aspect of teaching adult students with ADHD. Structure helps reduce distraction and provides a framework for students to follow. That framework is essential for those who find it difficult to concentrate for extended periods. So this is essential to keep them from getting distracted and overwhelmed. A predictable routine when they come into the classroom can help them feel more secure and focused in their learning environment. Scheduling regular breaks, they know when their breaks are going to be, you put it on the board, you communicated clearly when the breaks are, is going to be very helpful to these students. And making sure that you also think about doing things like flexible time limits. So when this is going to be done, when we're doing group projects, they might need a little bit more time. They might need some extended time because of their ADHD. So being flexible with the time it takes for different procedures could be beneficial for these students as well. So try to be flexible and with your tasks to help maintain their attention and their motivation. If you give them a time limit that's may not be doable for them, they may find it too overwhelming and not able to complete it. This one is a personal favorite of mine, is being an active and involved in learning. So active learning techniques like using group discussion together, that's going to be a big thing. Doing interactive assignments together where they all have to come together and do an assignment together and discuss and be a part of a group and make answers. Using hands-on projects. These hands-on projects are very beneficial for students with ADHD. These strategies engage students, not just with ADHD, but all students, directly into the learning process. Instead of being a passive process where they're listening to the lecture, they're being an active part of the material, of the information. So this helps them sustain their interest and reduce the boredom that can lead to them becoming distracted. Adult learners with ADHD may benefit from courses that emphasize collaboration and real-world applications. These methods keep them actively involved. Things like case studies, things like breaking the class into different groups and giving them challenge questions to work on together. These things, using real-world application in these group activities, are assets in helping keeping all students, and including students with ADHD, engaged. This one is a big one, time management skills. We all could use a little bit of this. Time management skills are another critical area to focus when we're teaching adult students with ADHD. A lot of individuals with ADHD struggle to manage their time effectively. They understand that the time it'll take to do the test or the quiz or the project is there, but they usually underestimate that amount of time it takes. And once the deadline approaches, they become very overwhelmed by the deadlines. Instructors, we can really help by teaching specific time management strategies. So things like breaking assignments into smaller parts. Hey, get your outline done. Okay, now do your first draft, so on and so forth. Breaking those things into smaller deadlines, smaller intermediate deadlines, can be very helpful. Other things like using planners or digital tools to track their progress can also be proved to be helpful as well. This kind of support can really foster independence and confidence as they continue throughout the program, as they continue their educational journey. So, in short, make sure you help them break down the assignments. Give them things, hey, this is a good way to break down the different tests, the quizzes, different ways to study before you get there, so that way it's not overwhelming by the time you do get there. Multimodal teaching. So this is where we're going to use a lot of different modes to really engage our students. So multimodal teaching approaches incorporate auditory, visual, kinesthetic elements that cater to very diverse learning styles that students with ADHD have. Research shows that individuals with ADHD often benefit from learning environments that stimulate multiple senses. This reduces the monotony of the material and keeps them engaged. So think about different things you can do in your classrooms that can involve different senses, that can involve auditory, that can involve kinesthetic, that can involve all this with the hands-on component, and this is a way to keep them from their distraction. For instance, instructors compare lectures with visual presentations, showing things like x-rays or case studies or labs and different pictures of procedures and things like that. All these things can really help aid these students in staying engaged. Asking them questions that engage their critical thinking skills instead of just recall can also be very helpful. But the big thing is allowing students to participate as much as you can, whether it's hands-on activities or anything else that can reinforce that material in a meaningful way that's not just them listening. It's involving multi-senses for their education. Technology. Technology and the use of technology can enhance the learning experience for adult students with ADHD. Digital tools that can help them organize the material, organize their information can be very helpful. Even different tools like time management platforms and software can really help these students engage and understand what's going on, so that way they don't become overwhelmed when stuff is last minute, so to speak. So this stuff can really help them stay organized and avoid being overwhelmed because it's breaking down what their day looks like day in and day out. Things like adaptive learning software can be helpful because they provide individual support and offer instant feedback to what the student's doing. So when we're looking at instructors, we should integrate these resources into their teaching to help students develop self-regulation skills and manage their time and tasks more efficiently. So encourage them to use things like apps to help them understand what things are due, how long things may take, their calendars, their reminders, things like that can be an asset for these students. Now, flexibility. Flexibility is going to be one. You need to be flexible in your assessment methods when teaching students with ADHD. Traditional exams may not accurately reflect the knowledge of the students that have ADHD. These assessments require a sustained focus and strict time limits in some cases. Instead, think about incorporating alternative forms of assessments, project-based evaluations. They even recommend open book exams. That's not a big one for me. Oral presentations, things that allow students to demonstrate their learning in a way that aligns with their strengths. And focusing and reading question after question after question for long periods of time is not currently a strength of them and may not reflect may not be a reflection of what they do know as far as the material goes. So incorporate some of this material could be beneficial for these students. Now make sure that we have a way to include and support these students. Creating an inclusive and supportive learning environment involves understanding and addressing their emotional challenges that adults with ADHD have. These students might have experienced a lot of past academic failures. Those past failures can lead to feelings of frustration and low self-esteem. It's essential for educators to provide positive reinforcement, to collaborate with these students, to celebrate their small successes and offer constructive feedback that focuses on their effort and how much improvement they're making rather than solely on the results. Don't make it just about the grade they got on the assignment. Make it about how much they put into it, how much growth that you're seeing. These are all things that can provide positive reinforcement. Celebrate the little things, and that is a big step for helping these students succeed. Now, when we're looking at collaboration between instructors, students, and support services is one of the things that is helpful with adults with ADHD. Many different types of educational institutions offer disability support services, which can provide accommodations like extended time on tests, note-taking software, a quiet environment, digital textbooks, having the students or allowing the students to record lectures. These are all things that could be accommodated for with these students. Educators need to work closely with the student services to make sure that students receive the necessary support to succeed academically. Last but not least is helping these students speak up. We need to foster self-advocacy skills. These skills are essential for adult learners with ADHD. As educators, we can encourage students to take an active role in their education by teaching them how to identify their learning needs and to seek out resources and accommodations that will help them succeed. This is going to be helpful not only when they're currently in our classroom, but also in other classrooms that they will end up into as well. Developing these skills enhances their academic performance and empowers them in not only in their professional lives, but also in their personal lives as well. So making sure that they have these skills, making sure that they know what they need is going to be an essential for their success as they move forward.